Hey everyone, it's Oz Chris, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows about this. Everyone that's in the know about comic books knows this. The whole Diamond and DC split. DC now will only be distributing their comics through Luna and UCS. Their graphic novels going through Penguin Random House. No more will they distribute through Diamond. I think the last stuff that will be coming out for June will be it from Diamond. So any stuff that has currently already been ordered, I believe, will still go out through Diamond. From there onwards, you would have to go through those other distributors if you want their stock. So it's been a bit divided, the reception on this. Towards the end, I'm going to go through with my opinions on it, but mainly comic book shops, a lot of the owners, who are pretty much the other half of the other half of the customer base, the other half being obviously the readers. A lot of them aren't particularly happy with this decision. So Newsarama, or I should say Games Radar, since now Newsarama is a part of that. They've changed the whole site. It ticks me off. It's just suddenly different. Anyway, going away from that. So Newsarama put up this article talking about how comic book retailers unite in shock and anger over DC split with Diamond. So JC Glenmeyer, the owner of Earthworld Comics in Albany, New York, says that it was a nice gut punch after we just reopened our doors for the first time in 2 months. As most retailers, I'm not going to cut off my nose to spite my face. I'll order for my regulars the minimum for racks, but I'm not putting any significant resources in their future products. Ben Ray of Atomic Books in Baltimore says, the timing of this is terrible and shows a blatant and disregard for concerns of comics sellers. Now keep in mind with the timing, that's something I'm going to touch upon, especially with my opinion on it. He then continues with, so I say this as a lifelong DC Comics fan as well as a retailer. Screw you, DC Comics. I wish them every bit as well as Marvel did when they did this back in the 90s. Whoever's calling the shots at DC, if there is anyone, should be sacked immediately. And Brett Parks, the owner of 3 Sailfish comics in Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and Concord, says that I just don't have a respectful comment. I can't think of anything useful or positive about this. I just wish DC would go away or fire their sales team and start over. Now, I can understand where they're coming from. Much like when Diamond announced they were just going to be stopping everything because of COVID, they found out all this the same time that I did, or that you did, or everyone did. Everyone found out that the exact same time. If I was DC, or even if I was part of AT&T, I would have given the retailers actually some time beforehand so that they could plan ahead, see if they're going to continue. Since now they have to go through a separate distribution in order to get comics shipped to them instead of going through Diamond, which is a problem a lot of them kind of bring up, that I see that out of convenience, it's much easier to just get it shipped from Diamond because the huge majority, almost every comic, is shipped from Diamond, is distributed from them. So it just makes it easier. The shipping prices, from what I've seen from some, they say it's fairer. It's probably not the best shipping price. I wouldn't know myself because I don't own a comic book store. I don't do all of that. But from a few that I've seen, they say it's fairer because it's much more convenient to have all the comics sent in one freight, or a combined freight, so they all come in at the same time because they're all from the same distributor. And DC doing this, and DC being one of the big two, means that they would have to organize a second shipping distributor, and that means there's going to be most likely an increased price with shipping, because now you're paying for shipping for 2 different people. Diamond, if you're still going to get stuff from there, and the 2 distributors for DC, Luna and UCS. And having been told this the same as everyone else, that I assume that, and I would believe that all these comic book retailers are just rushing to figure out what to do. If they're going to decide to still receive books from DC and all that stuff, are they going to do it? How's it going to work out? Can it work out for them? So I can see how that's frustrating for them, that they just get told this and then they're in their own kind of damage controls. Like, how are we going to accommodate to this? And I've seen a few people say that while this is a good thing, which I agree with DC splitting from Diamond. Diamond has such a monopoly on the comic book industry, having everything, distributing everything. It needs a competitor. I think DC put a step in the right direction, so to say. Going onto timing, this is probably absolutely the worst time to do this. It's the whole COVID situation and how it affected, while it affected everything, mainly pertaining, because this is about comic books, the comic book industry, for 2 months, nothing new was coming out. So comic book stores had to either close down or they had to improvise. So they would have had to sell a lot of their back stock or whatever they had in store there. Or if they were lucky, like the comic book store I go to, there was already back order deliveries, etc., that were already shipped prior to Diamond stopping everything. So they had incoming stock that they could then sell to their customers. And then just only recently, now it's coming back. It's, we're getting the weekly releases again. It's slowly working its way back up. And we're not even a full month of that coming back into the normal. And DC decides to change this. COVID has been a huge blow, especially to the economy, and having to, how to say this? I'm not a big economics kind of guy, numbers and all that, but I would assume that this would really affect businesses with their money having to pay for now a separate distribution service to get one brand's line of books isn't really going to help when almost every store, pretty much every store, the whole entirety of the comic book industry has yet to recover economically from the COVID outbreak that had forced them to shut down or had to, like I said, improvise. So yeah, this doesn't really help with that. The timing was especially bad. And going back to the whole, it's a double-edged sword. Like I said, this is good. Like, DC splitting from Diamond is a good thing. But they did it at the worst possible time. The whole COVID situation probably gave them the idea, since DC was starting to distribute, while Diamond was still closed, DC was distributing their own stuff through I believe it was definitely Lunar and UCS, and Penguin Random House. If I'm wrong, someone correct me on that. But they were beginning to distribute their stuff again, and they were doing it at an earlier day than the norm, Wednesdays. And Diamond wasn't particularly happy with that, but then Diamond came back. So I think DC doing this, it gave them the idea they don't need Diamond anymore. They could do this themselves. They have these 3 distributors, 2 of which for the floppies and all that, 1 of which for the graphic novels. They can do it. They don't need the fossil that is Diamond anymore. So let's do it. That's what they did. They just chose the worst time for probably their biggest clientele, the retailers, because they have yet to actually recover from COVID-19 that's seriously crippling the industry that they work in. So I can see where a lot of these the retailers are angry about this. I feel like if this happened any other time, retailers would actually be more for it. because, there's always the horror stories about Diamond, Diamond having a monopoly on everything, complaining about their practices and all that, how they deliver their products. The products, there's like, oh, look, this bunch of comics, they're all bent or they're all ripped, and there's no quality control when it came to like a lot of the shipping. They're not complaining about nothing. These are serious problems. If I ordered something and I got the product in a state that was not promised, in a terrible state, I would be upset about this. So I feel like if this happened at a different time when it just hasn't been so chaotic and crippling, I think the majority of the retailers that are complaining about this probably would actually be a bit more lenient or actually 100% for it. But because of the COVID situation, it's put them in a place where this will probably hurt them financially. And I've seen a few people say, it's not going to be a problem. Prices are going to be much better. It's going to be better for shops. Maybe for the US, maybe. But what about internationally? Couple of stores here in Australia have already talked about it. The store that I go to, they know about it. They've yet to speak about it. They're probably going to put their own video or post about it after I've recorded this, whenever, sometime later, since they didn't say they will speak about it later on. But a couple of stores here in Australia aren't particularly happy with this decision, because this means, like with pretty much all the other retailers, they're going to have to pay a separate shipping price for DC's lot. It's probably going to cost a bit more. And highly likely, even one of them saying, Incognito Comics, which is in Melbourne, Victoria, or just in Victoria. Yeah, just in Victoria, said that the most likely situation is that because they're going to have to pay a different shipping price for a separate distributor, that all of the DC comics will have to increase in price to accommodate to this change.
It could mean that DC product will go up in price, just because it'll be a separate shipment, and there could be different costs occurring with that. So
because it was just much more convenient to have everything shipped with Diamond. Now that they don't have that anymore, if they want to stock DC, or if they have customers that want DC comics, they're gonna have to increase the prices. Like, highly probably they will have to increase the prices. They probably will. Like, every year I see the prices here in Australia for comics increase. Last I checked, converting currencies, here in Australia we pay more. Like, a $3.99 comic, the store that I go to is $7.90 Australian, which converts to, last I checked, $5.50. So we are paying just almost, pretty much almost, or even a little over, like $1.50 more, like $1.50 to $2 more, depending on if it's a $3.99, $4.99, etc. So we're already paying more compared to the US shops, and this won't help. This really won't help. The prices will increase more because of this, because they have to accommodate. They already have to accommodate to the converted prices, the GST, and the existing shipping. Adding it as a separate shipping doesn't help. So I can see why retailers aren't happy with this decision. It's a decision that if it didn't happen now, I and like a lot of them would be happy with. It is just terrible timing. It is incredibly terrible timing. Just as comic book shops are starting to get back on their feet, opening their doors again, or getting the new stock, or even both. This happens, and they're scrambling to figure out, what are we going to do next? They didn't give us time to prepare. They decided to just tell everyone. The exact same thing Diamond did when they started to cancel. When they canceled, they just stopped everything. It's like, we'll just tell everyone at the same time. You know, realistically, they should just tell the stores first, and then sometime afterwards, tell everyone else. So also, it helps alleviate customer concern, because a lot of these stores, they have customers asking, what's going to happen? Are we still going to get DC? The price is going to increase. It's going to be limited stock, etc., etc. What's happening there? And as of now, a lot of them don't know what. A lot of them, a few that I've seen are saying, give us a week and we'll know, we'll have the answers for you. So if DC, AT&T told them beforehand and either suggested ways or asked them to find ways to kind of deal with this so that the customers don't get too worried about it, could have been slightly handled better. But I think overall the timing was just terrible. Like, I know I'm just repeating myself, but it's good that DC is loosening Diamond's monopoly, the grip they have on the comic book industry. Something that needs to happen. But it's just atrocious timing. It's the poor timing on DC's part. So, yeah, that's overall my opinion on this whole situation. Talking about also the retailers who aren't particularly happy about this. We'll have to see what happens, because everyone's just in kind of speculation mode at the moment. So this could change. Who knows? Maybe the prices won't actually increase. Maybe they'll just stay the same, or maybe they'll decrease. I don't see that happening, but maybe miracles happen. Sometimes miracles happen, but we have to wait and see. This news is pretty much recent. As of time of recording, yeah, pretty much. Literally just happened a day ago, so we just have to wait and see what happens. So, yep, that was it for the video. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I've been Chris, and I will see you all in the next one.